In this session, we are going to look at how we handle uncertainty in MRP. Typically, MRP is driven by MPS. Now, even as we execute the order schedules released by MRP, there can be a lot of uncertainty happening by way of time and quantity. So, how do we handle this uncertainty in MRP? Typically, we use safety stock, or also known as buffer stock, to handle this uncertainty. Safety stock is a good approach to use when demand is continuous. However, time is also a way to buffer against uncertainty. When demand is lumpy, it is good to use safety time. In practice, a combination of safety stock and safety time are used. Now, let us look at a situation like this, where I have on x-axis time, y-axis quantity, and the demand pattern is somewhat like this. Now, the demand variation that we are showing here is not uncertainty per se, but it's a kind of variation within the demand, known variation, and we have uncertainty about this demand itself. So if you consider a particular period like this, I know that this is the average demand I have to have. So I may provide a safety stock over and above this. This we call it as safety stock. Now what happens? Safety stock is an amount kept over and above the average requirement. So it is quite likely that we may not use this stock. If the stock is not used, it is excess, and this can easily be used in the following period because there is adequate demand right here itself. But now let us contrast this case with another situation where I have here on time axis and quantity, and this time my demand is somewhat like this. And if I have to provide safety stock here, and by the same understanding, if I do not use this safety stock, what will happen to this stock? There is no requirement in the immediate period, and hence this small amount of stock is kept for long time. So that we are keeping the stock for long time is going to cost us very dearly. Whereas in this case, the extra stock I kept is not used for too long a time period. So keeping safety stock this way is going to have a serious implication depending on the demand pattern that we have used. Now, these demand patterns, if you look at it, here we are calling it as continuous demand pattern, whereas this is what we call it as a lumpy demand pattern. In case of lumpy demand pattern, keeping safety stock is not a good option because this quantity is kept for too long a time period. It is not an issue of just keeping longer and hence inventory carrying cost. This longer time period could also have serious implications in case there is a stock misplacement or stock pilferages. More importantly, in engineering industries, within this long time period, just in case the design version or pattern has changed, it's quite likely entire stock has to be written off. Then we are not talking about inventory carrying cost, but we are actually talking about inventory write-off cost, which is too significant. And hence we have to have an alternative to maintaining safety stock. And that alternative is what we call it as safety time. How does safety time work? If this is where I need my stock, I advance it by some time period called safety time and try and get my stock arrival planned to come at this time, so that even the stock is more, it is kept for short time, that the cost is not very high compared to the cost that we have seen here. And that is what we summarize, saying it all depends on demand pattern. If the demand pattern is continuous, we use safety stock. If the demand pattern is lumpy, then we use safety time, which is advancing the point of requirement by the time period of safety time. And in practice, we may use safety stock and safety time as a combination.